Alright, so we're in a test database here at the moment, and I want to go through the process of creating new nominal accounts within the Dimensions database. So I'm just going to go to the financials ledger, the nominal ledger as we call it. I click on accounts, and within accounts, if I click on auto account, it brings up my list of categories. So as you can see, we have our categories: nominal account, the location or fund, department, and project. To create a new nominal account, I simply select an account code from each of the sections here. So I can select either the first three, or where there is a project relating to a specific account, we will pick the one item from the four categories. So if I just select, for example, an account here, we'll just call it, let's have a look at perhaps internal audit as a cost. I want to set up a new account relating to both the Blanchardstown and Raheny operations. This would sit under the Department of Administration, and in this instance there will be no project code relating to it. Before we actually go any further, then the important things we need to check are the major heading. So at the moment the major heading is set to income. We need to change this to expenditure, and we then have to ask ourselves, are we likely to have purchase invoices coming in for this or to this account? If we are, then we also need to check the option to create analysis records. Now, if we forget to do this, it's not the end of the world, in that we can always go back and we can manually create the analysis codes to this account by coming up to this option here called analysis. This will allow us to create individual analysis codes. The problem is that it will just take more time, and if we create a lot of new nominal accounts, it will take a lot of time. So once I've checked these two options, I can click the OK button, and that brings up a preview screen showing what the new nominal accounts are going to look like. We have their code and the name of the account. It's now possible to change the name of the account here if we wish to do so. We can extend it if we'd like to. And doing it here will mean that whatever changes we make to the nominal account code will also update the purchase analysis code if we're creating one for the account. So if I was to proceed with that, I click on the OK button, and the system will ask for confirmation: are sure you wish to create two new nominal accounts and their analysis. So if we say yes at this stage, they're going to be created. It's worth at this stage just doing one final check to ensure that we have the correct major heading and that we have turned on the option to actually create the accounts. Well, of course, the message has more or less confirmed that. I click OK, and if I say I'm sure I wish to create them, it creates those two new nominal accounts and the relevant or the related analysis codes. So if I just go and look for accounts beginning with 342 now, if I just come back to my accounts window, and we just look for any account which begins with 342, just say where it begins with, we can see we have a number of accounts. So we now have an internal audit account for Raheny and for Blanchardstown, and they live in the administration department. To create, so at this stage, if we hadn't created the purchase analysis codes, as I say, it's still possible to actually come up here and click on the analysis button, and the system will check the major heading of the account. Because it's an expenditure account, it will ask to create a new purchase analysis codes. Were this an income account, it would ask to create a new sales analysis code. We can always choose an option, always create analysis records. So basically, when inserting a new profit and loss account, we can have the system always prompt us, always create the new analysis, or we can ask it to prompt us to create the analysis code, which is probably the best option. If I attempt to create this now, the system will already discover that there is an existing purchase analysis code, so it can't create it again. But that's fine. Just going back then to have a look at what a purchase analysis code looks like. Essentially, when we're posting transactions to the nominal ledger from the purchases ledger or the sales ledger, we have to have what the system calls an analysis code, and that is simply an instruction. So again, if we just have a quick look for accounts beginning with 342, that is simply an instruction to debit the relevant expense account, credit the relevant purchase control or creditors control account and update the VAT control account with any VAT applicable on the transaction.